guys, it's me, Dan, from Dan Eats the World. I appreciate you tuning in. I have a special treat for you guys this afternoon. My friend, Peng, has graciously made me this home-cooked seafood feast. We have a very tight time schedule today, so rather than go to a restaurant, he actually was nice enough. This is a plate of fruit from my hotel. They drop this off to me every morning. So at any rate, we have kind of a tight time schedule today. And rather than go out to a restaurant for lunch, he decided to go to the local seafood market. He picked up a whole bunch of food for us, and I'm going to show it to you guys. So the first thing we have here is about a pound of freshly steamed scallops. Then he knows I like to eat the crab. So I have these two beautiful crabs. I'll show you guys real quick. I'm trying to dig into this before it gets cold. So this is the famous crabs that they have here. This is the local crab. We're going to probably eat this guy last. Then we have shrimp, fresh shrimp from Malaysia. And we have fresh oysters. So I'm going to bust out this stuff out for you guys and let you check it out. So here are my beautiful, beautiful oysters. They're just absolutely amazing looking. Oh, smells like the sea. Let's crack one of these guys open. Oh. Mmm. Pretty damn good. We might have to let me just do that one more time. Wow. So fresh. My friend was super concerned. He said, you got to eat this right away while it's still hot. Don't let it get cold. So I am going to power chow this lunch. So there's my delicious oyster. So good. I hope you guys have a little bit of time to spend with me today. I'm going to try to narrate a little bit about Weihai in between stuffing my face with all this fresh seafood. So delicious. So let me make a little bit of room here. I also want to present this a little bit better to the camera. But, you know, I take my time with the crabs, so I'm really actually kind of hungry. I'm going to start filling my belly with some of the stuff that's a little bit easier to eat, and then I will have the crabs for the final course. Okay. So let's put these guys right in the front. I think it'll make a nice presentation for my viewers. There's the crabs. The beer that I have is a very special beer. I'm going to get a little closer to the camera so you guys can see it. This is a very special beer. This is a fresh beer that has absolutely no preservatives in it. It has to be consumed within 7 days of it being bottled, or it will go bad, and you know, you won't really be able to enjoy it or drink it. So this is actually, I've heard about this, and I really wanted to try it, but it's actually somewhat hard to get. It's small batches. It's called a Tashian beer, which basically means brown beer. It's made in very small batches, and it is delivered from the factory to various restaurants. And it's somewhat hard to get. I don't want to say it's like VSOP cognac or anything like that, but it's not something that you find in the average store because it doesn't have the shelf life. So there you are. If you come up to visit China and Weihai, you certainly want to try this because it's absolutely delicious and fresh, and you can actually taste all the ingredients. They like their beer cold. They will call it ice beer. Doesn't mean that they're going to put ice in your beer. It just means cold beer. And this is a nice cold beer. So let me just take a little sip. Back in my college days, one of my favorite beers was the Sam Smith Brown Ale. And this has, it doesn't taste exactly like it, but when I opened the bottle before I started the film rolling, I said, wow, you know, this is vaguely familiar. And it really is. Let me crack open this huge bag of scallops as well. Show you guys. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Let's try one of these bad boys. Oh. That looks especially inviting. Let's check this out. Oh my God, that was tasty. Let's do that again. Dun, 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 dun. I hope I don't eat so quickly that I swallow a pearl or anything. Oh, these are not that type of oyster. I will give it to the Chinese. They really know how to eat. Look at all my brown beer. Oh. You can really taste the ingredients. So good. It's a little bit, I would describe it as a little bit heavier than the Sing Sao, which is like the national beer that they export to the United States and other countries. You'll see that in some of my other videos. But I really like this one. This is the kind of beer that you know, you really don't want to rush drinking it because it's just so delicious. You really want to savor it. So good. I'm going to move a little bit closer to the camera for a second and just change the attitude. Unfortunately, I'm filming this solo, so excuse me, we'll try to fix this clip. Maybe with your support in the future, I will be able to afford an assistant to help us do the filming. But at the moment, it's just little old me. So let's continue on with our seafood fiesta here. We'll do one more scallop, and then I think we're going to go back to the oyster. Dun, 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 dun. So good. This is I don't know, probably about a pound of shrimp. The portions in Weihai for the money are just unbelievable. Every meal I keep saying, you know, don't order too much, don't order too much. And even if you only, you know, for 2 people, let's say you order an appetizer and 2 dishes, it's enough food for 4 people. Dun, 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 dun. That's just a meaty, succulent oyster. You probably didn't see it, but when I grabbed it with the chopstick, it squirted a little bit of juice out at me. Unfortunately, I don't have any, actually not unfortunately, I was, when I was getting ready to do this, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I don't have any sauces or condiments. How is this going to be without drenching it in soy sauce or something? But actually, to be honest, it doesn't need anything. It's absolutely, positively chock full of deliciousness from the ocean. Also, by not hiding the flavor with the sauce. You really get to experience nature's creation just the way she intended it, without disguising or molesting the flavors. Absolutely delicious. I notice that this side of my face is getting too much sun, so again, I'm going to have to step off camera for a second, and I'm going to partially close the blinds in my little suite here. Just one moment. Okay, I think that's slightly better. Certainly in video production, one of the most important things is the lighting, and it's not perfect, but hopefully that's a little bit better than it was. So here we go. Another delicious, fresh oyster. That one opened itself for me. So delicious. I think I said on one of my earlier videos that I would literally come back here just to eat, maybe play a round or two of golf. And Weihai is really, that's one of the things that they're known for. If you have, if you're able to detect or perceive the differences in the Asian faces, you'll notice that there is a high degree of Koreans here. I'm just sorry for the pause there. I wanted to make sure that my phone was recording properly. So at any rate, Weihai is a northern port city on the eastern half of China. It is a very popular destination for many tourists, but mainly tourists from South Korea. Why? Korea is relatively expensive. It's not as expensive as Japan, but things are expensive in Korea. Golf is expensive, liquor is expensive. No, not all liquor, but some liquor is expensive. So they will come here just for a couple of days. They'll play 2 rounds of golf, they'll eat some delicious seafood, maybe they'll do a little bit of clothing shopping, maybe they'll load up on some duty-free liquor, and then they will go back to South Korea. So when you are walking around, and even in this hotel, you'll notice a lot of Korean faces. And you know, if you pay attention, it's actually relatively easy to differentiate a Korean from Chinese and Japanese. I have not met any Japanese people yet here in Weihai. I'm going to be attending a fishing tackle show this coming weekend, and I do anticipate probably seeing a few. Oh, look at the size of that one. Oh, that is just super, super juicy. So I wouldn't be surprised if I bump into a couple of Japanese this weekend, but I'm not really anticipating it. But the Koreans really do take advantage of the cheap flights. From what I understand, you can come here from South Korea for about $50 each way. You can take advantage of a beautiful hotel suite for less than $50 a night. The suite that I'm staying in has a huge, huge bathroom, huge tub, beautiful marble. It includes a gigantic unlimited, they also call it free flow, we would call it buffet in the United States, breakfast. So for $50 a night, which includes the tax, it's not $50 plus an occupancy tax, it's $50 triple net. So for $50 a night, I have a hotel suite, I have a gigantic bathroom, sunken tub, blah, blah, blah. I have use of the fitness club on the lower level, which has an Olympic-sized pool. It has a weight room, it has treadmills, stair climbers, all the things that you would expect Slightly disappointed there was no steam room, but you can't have everything. I got to keep going here because some things are, I agree with my friend Peng, are best consumed hot. So I'm going to keep going on the oysters. I'm going to augment it with an occasional scallop. Oop. Don't tell anyone. It's very interesting to intermix eating the oyster with eating the scallop. It's really a different taste and certainly a different texture. I actually think that I prefer the oyster. And that's interesting because in the United States, I'm really more of a scallop eater. I do eat oysters. I like raw oysters. I'm from southern New Jersey. We have a very famous port city called Cape May. And one of my favorite treats in Cape May is what they call Cape May salts. And these are farm-raised oysters that are in the mouth of the Delaware Bay. So it's kind of not purely salt, not purely fresh, probably more salt than fresh, but I would still consider it brackish water. And the Cape May salts are especially good oysters for being farm-raised. But these are better. Oh, I'm so heartbroken. I'm down to my last 2 oysters. Let's hope this is a juicy one. Oh yeah. There's some deliciousness going on in here. After I get done piling away these oysters and scallops, I have a very critical business decision to make. I have to decide whether to eat the shrimp or to eat the crabs. Shrimp are actually very good, and a lot of people prefer the shrimp chilled. So I think my game plan for dispatching with this food is going to be I'm gonna try a couple of these shrimp warm, and then I have a little tiny kitchenette here in the room, which is fantastic. I actually have a refrigerator. I have a tea kettle to make the fresh tea, and glasses and stuff like that. Oh my God, so delicious. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one of the shrimps, maybe 2, and then I'm going to set aside the shrimp. I'm going to switch to these crabs because I do enjoy the crabs warm. Some people like their crabs cold, but I kind of like them hot or warm. Oh, I'm heartbroken. It's my last oyster. We have to drink to it. Let's have a little drink to it. One thing I noticed about the Chinese culture, which is certainly another positive aspect, I was treated to a delicious seafood feast at a crab restaurant 3 nights ago. The owner of one of the tackle factories that I do business with took us out for the seafood. And what's interesting with the seafood steam pot is in between each course, you make a toast. So let's say we ordered three plump extra big oysters, which we did. The oysters come, they put it on a steam pot, and the waiter sets a timer. There's a little timer built into your table. So let's say they're supposed to, the chef recommends 2 minutes. They'll set the timer for 2 minutes. After the 2 minutes goes off, everybody, the waiter actually comes over. You don't have to do a thing. He opens it, he presents everybody with their oyster, he bows, you eat your oyster, and then you make a toast. You clink glasses, you have your drink, and then the next course comes. And this repeats and repeats and repeats. We polished off a couple of bottles of French wine that way. My last oyster. beer is so damn good. In case any of you are tuning in a little bit late, this beer that I'm enjoying is a locally made beer called Tashan. And I believe it just means brown beer. And this beer is a very special beer. I'm going to let you guys take a look. The 7 on it means it's a 7-day beer. It has to be consumed within 7 days of production because it has absolutely no preservatives in it. So it will actually turn on you after 7 days. They say, They say it's actually best to drink it a day or two after it's been brewed. I do not know that the bottle actually has a mark on it. Perhaps it does, and I'm not seeing it, but it does taste super, super fresh. So let's check out one of these shrimp. Oh, they're still nice and warm. This is my shrimp. Good size. Get all that juicy goodness out. And we take the legs off this critter. Super easy to peel. Much of the seafood that we're enjoying here in Weihai does actually come from other waters. I don't know that the ocean is warm enough. That's got to be one of the most delicious shrimp that I've ever had. I do not believe that the ocean is warm enough. I'm here the second week in October, and I don't think that it's warm enough to support shrimp. So these shrimp are definitely from somewhere else. Could be Thailand, could be Malaysia. Not sure. So flavorful. These shrimp are just that. They're just shrimp. There is no Old Bay or pepper or anything like that. Although it probably wouldn't hurt. It certainly does not need it. The idea of this type of steam pot, steamed cooking, is that it's very, very natural. They will actually steam the dish and have a little bit of porridge underneath. And all of that goodness drips down into the porridge, and you have the porridge at the end of the meal. So delicious. I think I said I was only going to eat 2 of those bad boys, but maybe I'll eat a little bit more. And then we'll put them on ice for later. Más tarde. That's good. They're like little baby scallops. They're just so delicious. I like to keep my videos to a certain length, and these crabs are going to take me some time. So I'm going to pile away just a couple more of these. I don't know if you can see my growing pile of shells. We'll pile away a couple more of these bad boys. Very tasty. And then we're gonna, one was trying to escape. We're gonna switch over to the crabs so I can give them my full attention. Wow, they're just so beautiful. I want to bring a couple of these a little closer to the camera, just so you can see how beautiful they are. The shell is very thin, very easy to open and eat. You guys can see that. Just so delicious. You like my fishing pants? This was a gift from a garment manufacturer that specializes in outdoor clothing, most specifically fishing. This being a port city, it has a very rich and deep tradition in fishing, of course. That was the main livelihood for, a long, long time, long before I got here. So fishing, this is actually considered the fishing capital, or fishing tackle production capital of China. I'm starting to fill up a little bit. So I am going to eat the rest of these cold a little bit later. I'm going to set these aside. And this is going to be like my midnight snack. Instead of being, bad and eating ice cream or some sweets, if I get a midnight craving, I'm going to have cold oysters. And I think what I'm going to do, not that it needs it, it's perfectly fine the way it is, but I am curious to try this with some of the sauces. So I think what my tentative plan that I'm kind of formulating in my head is put these bad boys on ice. I'm going to go out later for a little bit of walking and sightseeing. And at 5:30, the hotel restaurant reopens. When it reopens, I'm going to go by the restaurant and I'm going to get some of their delicious hot sauces. And I'm going to bring it up to the room. And maybe what we'll do is we'll shoot another video and compare the level of deliciousness, plain, warm, steamed versus cold with different sauces. And I think that's going to be really interesting. The wasabi here is out of this world. It is the cure for any sinus issue you may have now or in the future. I mean, it is like a mule kick. And I've noticed that even the locals who can tolerate a tremendous degree of heat, I see the look on their faces, and it's pleasure and pain. Let's put it that way. So I think that's the plan. We're going to have soy sauce with the wasabi. We're going to have some of the red pepper sauce, and maybe we'll even have some of the dried capsaicin powder. And we'll compare and contrast my experiences of plain steamed, just as it came out of the ocean, versus on ice with some condiments. So that is the plan. I like it. I think you're going to like it too. So let me set these guys apart. I'm going to reposition a little bit so you can see my growing pile of shells. I'm going to top off my 10 CN fresh brown beer. I'm kind of tempted to have one more shrimp. What do you think? See or no? See. Dun, 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 dun. I love these shrimp. All right, then I promise we're going to go right to the crab after this shrimp. I give you my word. I never lie when it comes to food, except about how much I ate. I've been so good on this trip. I really deserve this. Where in the United States, our diet is so rich in carbohydrates, preservatives, and other garbage. I have not eaten one piece of bread since I've left the United States, and I don't miss it a single bit. I'm sure after a couple of weeks I'm going to be craving a bagel and lox. But at the moment, I have no interest in bread. I just fully have to savor this last warm shrimp. Really good. Okay, so say goodbye to Mr. Shrimp Party. I'm going to set this over here. And we're going to move on to Mr. Crabbo. Okay, so I have two male crab. Are these male or female? Okay, so I have a male and I have a female. I generally, for whatever reason, I know it's considered a delicacy, I'm not super into the crab eggs. Wow, this is a heavy crab. I can also tell, real quick, when you're picking crabs, okay, the way you want to pick your crab is you want to find a crab that is not purely white. If the belly is purely white, it generally doesn't have that much meat in it. It means that it's somewhat recently molted, okay, and it has not fully grown into its new shell yet. Once it grows into the shell, it'll go from being pure white to start getting a little bit tarnished. I don't know if that's a biological function or an environmental function, but you really do not want to pick pure white crabs in any country you go to, because why? They haven't fully grown into their shell, and when you start eating it, you'll notice a lot of voids and a lot of water and stuff in there because it's just not fully grown into its new shell. So with that being said, I think that we're in, I can feel this guy. He's got some meat in there. So without further ado, I'm going to crack this bad boy open. Oh yeah, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Okay, so this is the shell. That is good. I can taste the saltiness of the ocean in the juices. Just so delicious. That is good. And what I'm eating here, most Americans might toss in the garbage, but it's filled with deliciousness. Sorry for my slurping. I can't help myself. That was good. And that's only the teaser. Okay, so here's the body of the crab. And the way I like to do mine, everybody has their own style of eating crabs. I don't know that there's a wrong way or a right way. But typically, I will rip off the crab's mouth, and then I'm left with the crab. Okay, it obviously has the lungs on each side. You don't want to eat the lungs. Probably not going to kill you or anything, but it's certainly not what you want to eat. So what I do is I take the lungs off, and that gets discarded. Okay. And then what I like to do, again, just my personal style, I crack them in half. Okay? Now I have I can attack it and have my plan of attack. Then from there, get rid of a little bit of this. There's some guts in there that I'm not going to eat. Okay, so now my crab is pretty clean. What I do is I squeeze it with both thumbs. I'm going to stop talking so you can hear. Hopefully you heard that. And then I break it in half. This is what they consider jumbo lump. This is the best part of the crab for me. It's also the easiest to eat. So I usually will set that aside, and I'll deal with the more difficult parts first. And then as a reward for being a good boy and dealing with the more difficult part, I eat the jumbo lump. And I'm probably going to bring that closer to the camera because this is like a A1 crab. My friend Pang hand selected these. I got one male and one female. The male is bigger than the female in the crab species, and it's actually the one I prefer. In the United States, we consider it non-sporting to harvest female crabs. So just growing up, the way I was raised was we let the female crabs go, make more baby crabs. So I don't really have that craving for the eggs. I've tried it. Certainly not bad, but yeah, doesn't really do anything for me. I prefer the jumbo lump, and in the male crab, you have a lot more jumbo lump crab meat. The body, if you guys notice, the body of this crab is very, very, very similar to a East Coast, what we call a blue claw. Okay, the body, you can't. There's almost no discernible difference. The belly, there's not any discernible difference. What is different is the arms, the claws. Okay, the claws are not quite as big. They don't get as fully, they're just not as big. They're not as fully developed. But the flip side of it is the shell is easier. And if you notice, I don't have or need any crackers. I can crack these with my hand, or if need be, I'll bite it a little bit with my teeth to get it started. Now let's just finish off this section right here, and then I'm going to show you guys the awesome deliciousness of the jumbo lump. That is absolutely, positively my favorite part. I would almost eat the shell, but I know I'm not supposed to. Wow, which is so good. Oh, the other thing I was going to tell you, the meat is slightly sweeter. As compared to the crabs we get on the northeast coast of the United States. It's definitely a treat. The other nice thing is I'm here the second week. Oh, I just lost a little piece of my jumbo lump. Oh no. Let me put him back together. Humpty Dumpty. Oh no. Let me show you guys that. Okay. All right, so here we go. Wow, that's just a literal treat. Without question, that's the best part. For me. Which is so sweet and fresh and delicious. Really good. When I'm done, it's going to take a long time. In fact, it would be literally impossible to upload this video from China. Just would be technically very difficult. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of my pile of shells, and I'm going to send it via WeChat to my friend Pang. And I'm going to express my gratitude for him being considerate enough to bring me this delicious meal. And I'm going to show him that I ate all the food. And the proof is going to be this giant pile of shells that I'm going to photograph for him at the end. And that way he knows that A, I appreciate him going out of his way to do this for me, and B, that I ate everything that was put in front of me, which is very important in this culture. In China, they know hunger in the past, not too distant past, maybe more than 40 years ago. So the culture here is, if it's on your plate, you eat it. You don't waste food here. And with the food being this delicious, I have no problem complying with this policy. My experiences here over and above the food have been just so positive. I would definitely encourage anybody watching to consider getting a passport and getting on a plane and coming to Weihai, China. Sure, it's not your backyard and it's a little bit of a process, but really not that bad at all. Last year, when I did my first China trip, I got a 10-year visa. What was interesting, when you go to the embassy and you get the form, a 6-month visa, a 1-year visa, and a 10-year visa are all exactly the same price, which kind of made no sense to me. So when they asked, and I looked at the form, I checked the box for the 10-year visa. So you can pretty much bet the farm that I'm going to be back. And now it's easy for me because I have the visa. Flying to Weihai was really not that bad either. I flew from New York to Beijing. I had a layover in Beijing. I took a shower in the lounge at the airport. I did some shopping. I found a very delicious noodle stand in the airport. In the Beijing airport, they have an elevated food court. Please, don't be a gaijin and eat at the Burger King at the food court. Please, don't do that. Eat somewhere else if you come to Beijing. So I found a noodle specialist. I don't remember the name, but it was something along the lines of hand-drawn noodles. So I had hand-drawn noodles with beef soup as my first meal arriving in Beijing. Of course, it was airport prices. I believe it worked out to about $8.90 for a beer, a bottle of water, and my gigantic bowl of noodles that I had no shot at finishing. So instead of it being $4 or $5, it was almost $9, which airports, I guess, get you anywhere in the world. So delicious. I'm being sidetracked from drinking my beer. Definitely definitely reminds me of the Sam Smith Brown Ale that used to be my favorite beer in college. It's not exactly the same. The color is certainly not as brown, but the flavor is definitely reminiscent of that brand of beer. So here we got my final half. I break that into quarters. Clean off a little bit of the sticky stuff. I'm really proud of myself. I haven't used any napkins yet, and I haven't really made that much of a mess. In America, we waste a lot of paper. In China, they will put on your table a very small box. It's about 4 inches by 4 inches, and it's filled with napkins that are really more the consistency of tissues. It's not quite the softest tissue you've ever had. It's certainly not a napkin. So at the seafood places, they'll generally have a sink that you can, without having to go all the way into the bathroom, you can generally find a sink for hand washing. I've also noticed that when you eat crabs and other somewhat complex crustaceans here, they will present you with plastic gloves. And it's pretty popular, especially if you're dressed a little bit nicer, or perhaps if it was a woman and she had just gotten a manicure and didn't want to ruin the manicure or whatever, you will put on the gloves. And they're very thin gloves, like disposable, not cleaning gloves, but just disposable gloves. And you'll put those on, and then afterwards, you can just, throw the gloves out and your hands don't smell like seafood. I'm going to have to show you guys this again, because this is the other piece of jumbo lump. And it's just chock full of deliciousness. Dun, 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 dun. I think I'm getting a little bit of wood. Haha, just kidding. Keep this family friendly. My particular eating style is I will peel all of the shell away from that jumbo lump, with my goal being to inhale the entire lump in one fatal swoop. I've been told by the Chinese that I am a very careful crab eater. I don't like to waste my crab. This thing just opened up like a flower when I did that. Oh, I don't know if you can see. Now, the way I like to do it is I like to just right down the hatch. So full, and the video is rounding out to be about an hour. So I'm gonna briefly explain to you the anatomy of the female crab, and then I'm going to dissect it, and I'm going to put it on ice with my shrimp for later. Okay, so the way a crab mates is the male crab catches the female crab, and he will literally lock himself in right here. And he locks himself in underneath these two, I'm not a biologist, these two pointy ends. So he's basically, you know, on her back, and he can swim around and take her to his crab condo, put on the slow music, and make his move. So when he makes his move, he uses his back legs and he flips up the protection to the egg sac. And that is actually the egg sac. You can see it actually, it looks hairy. It's not hair, I don't know what it is. But he will flip this open, he'll deposit his little swimmers, and then he'll swim off and she'll swim off, and slowly the eggs will mature, and as they do, this will kind of come off, and you'll see more and more and more eggs. Okay? So what I'm going to do is we're going to clean this lady, and then we are going to put her on ice for a later midnight snack. Yeah, no eggs, which is actually totally fine with me. So the juice, kind of have to have that while it's warm. That's like a warm shot of deliciousness. So good. I'm trying to, I don't know if you've noticed, I've made a very nice pile with my shells, very orderly, and I think my Chinese friends are going to be very impressed with my progress. When this seafood was dropped off at my hotel, my friend Peng dropped me off at the hotel. I had some work to do. He had some errands to run. And he said, listen, we don't have time for a sit-down lunch today, but there's a fresh seafood market near my house. What about if I go to the seafood market, I pick up some seafood, I'll take it home, I'll steam it for you, and I'll drop it off at your hotel. I almost felt it was too gracious an offer, but he kind of pushed the issue a little bit, and I didn't want to insult him by saying no. So I said, I don't want to be a burden, but that sounds very delicious. So I took him up on the offer, and boy, was that a nice idea. I get to stay in the relaxation of my hotel room. I get to sit here in my fishing jammies and share the deliciousness with you guys instead of being in a very crowded, loud restaurant where I probably would make some people, if not most of the people, well, I don't want to say most of the people. First of all, the Chinese are extremely friendly and they're very inquisitive. I get a lot of looks, especially from the young kids that maybe has never seen an American, let alone with one as big a nose as me. If my Mandarin was better, I could explain to them about that, but my Mandarin is not very good yet. So I'm just going to clean the crab a little bit and let you guys check her out. The female crab is always the smaller of the species given the same environmental conditions. That's certainly not to say that you can't find a nice big female, but generally speaking, if they were in the same habitat, same water conditions, same food supply, the male is always the bigger of the species. And again, back in the States, I grew up, I was an expert hunter. No crab was safe from me. I learned to crab when I was, oh gosh, probably 7, 8 years old. And I found it just so much fun to sit on the pier with my hand line, chicken leg, and net. It would just amuse me for hours and hours and hours. I became very adept at it. And even to this day, I really enjoy catching my own crabs. So I am going to crack this gal in half. Just continue a little bit of the cleaning process. Get some of that stuff out. I have a refrigerator and like a little mini kitchen, but it's actually rather small as typical hotel rooms. So I'm going to try to be efficient. The Chinese are specialists in efficiency. So I'm going to try to be efficient, and I'm going to make myself a little midnight snack dish. So here's my midnight snack of my crab. At this point, I definitely need a napkin, and I do not have one. So I'm going to have to just suck it up and deal with it. A little brown beer will certainly help. One last time, for anyone that's tuning in a little bit late, this is a very special and somewhat hard to get 7-day beer. I think you can see the number 7 on it. And this beer is brewed without preservatives. So it's not really widely distributed. It's dropped off directly by the brewery to select stores, restaurants, etc. And you have to consume it within 7 days, because after that, it's going to go bad. So it's something I've heard about, something I really wanted to try, and this is my first one. Hopefully during my trip, I'll have the opportunity to encounter 1 or 2 more. It's so good, it's so fresh, you can actually taste the ingredients. So good. Well, I'm getting pretty close to wrapping up here. This is the second episode of Dan Eats the World. I really appreciate, and I hope that you enjoyed tuning in and sharing my adventures with me. I will be here in Weihai, China for the next week, eating and filming. I would appreciate and very much value your support. Please like my channel, give me the thumbs up on my YouTube channel, Dan Eats the World. And I certainly, at this point, I'm not looking for monetization or anything like that. But of course, everything runs on capital. The video equipment is very expensive. Travel is expensive. So in the future, if you really enjoy my video, in addition to giving me the thumbs up, which is more than enough, I don't expect anything more than a thumbs up on my Facebook. I'm sorry, on my YouTube. But if you would like to click on one of my monetization videos, I do get a couple of pennies every time you do that. Pennies add up. And I certainly appreciate your support. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Dan Eats the World, episode 2, coming to you live from Weihai, China, Port City, fishing capital of China. Thank you again. I appreciate your time.